Good evening, folks, and welcome to another episode of Soaring Prophets. I'm Patrick. My partner in crime in the bottom there is James, and we are joined by a lovely, special, and influential young lady who's doing some really beautiful things in the space of kind of that demographic of 55 plus in the women field. And we are super thrilled to have her alongside of us next week in Orlando, Florida at the Healthcare Amplified Summit on the 25th of January. James and I are flying in, and we're going to be merch. We're going to be having the clothes on. You'll be able to pick us out if you haven't seen us quite yet. But we are super thrilled to be a part of this and a little bit more every day, it seems like, with the Healthcare Amplified Summit. And again, Heike Yates, thank you so much for joining us. Please, before we even get started here, open up your browser right now on your phone, because I know you're doing this at home, and you can take a little click of the QR code that you right to the website, heikeyates.com. Really doing some interesting things with the with what would you call it, Heike? What is your demographic that you're working on?
I would say midlife, because most of us, or many, talk about the women over 50, and it leaves out a whole bunch of people. And then if you talk about the women over 50, where are the ones over 60 and 70 and 80? How do that fit in those categories of women over 50? Really not. So I find that midlife starts at 40 and goes until about 80 or 85, when we enter a very different demographic physically, with the abilities that we have and the things that we can physically do, also maybe mentally at that point. So I think midlife is really where it's at. We're all fit into this, whether it's the younger end or the older end, so to speak, air quotes.
Well, so Heike, I love what you're doing. I love the space that you're in a unique one. Again, when we look at who people are marketing to and positioning in businesses, and especially in healthcare, that 55 is sort of an untapped, untouched area. It appears like you're either 22 years old, they're trying to market you with the fashion products, all the crazy things of technology. It seems like we're pushing into that 60s, 70s with a lot of the boomers, but that 40, 50 age demographic seems like a gapping. And again, one of the themes that we've brought up a lot with the Healthcare Amplified is looking to kind of fill some of these gaps in services, whether it be in pharmacology, whether it be in the entertainment and infotainment space. Heike, maybe you could tell us a little bit about what you folks are doing to fill that informational gapping and why it's so.
I feel we need to be more inclusive of all ages and not just talk about, okay, the 40-year-olds need this, because it always comes down to menopause. Menopause is the big ooh that we deal with as women. Men, you have menopause, but you have it a little bit differently than us women. But I think it needs to be more inclusive. And as you said just a second ago, we look at the 20s and we're looking at the different marketing, a different exercise, a different health needs as when you get into your 40. And let's just leave menopause aside. Many of us have children. The children are growing. We're looking into the kids leaving the house. We need to take care of our health better as our bodies start to break down. And I really don't like the word boomer. I was like, this to me is, I don't know. I just don't like it. I don't want to be a boomer. I don't want to be a category in somebody's little niche as Gen Xer or a Z or whatever. I just want to be in midlife, and I want to be me. So to think about this, it's like, we're not that far off. We just have different needs as we get older, as you go into your 40s. And I can relate to this. I'm an athlete. As we guys have talked earlier, I do triathlons. I have done an Ironman triathlon, which is a long race where you swim, bike, and then run at the end. And you have up to 17 hours to do that. And when I go through the different stages of aging, I have to push much harder now to be able to be as fast, as skilled I am, but I can't quite push it because my body won't let me. But I'm still an athlete at heart. And so, looking at the different age groups, you just have to listen to your body, what it needs. And listening to your body will give you the answers. And I think that's where our healthcare falls really short on the listening part of their customer.
I think you're absolutely right. Like, so as I hit 40, I'm 53 now. I had different needs, and you talked about how, you know, women do go through menopause, men go through something as well. Like at 40, I started losing strength. I started getting hurt. It's very easily, like just rolling over in bed. I started being slower, and I had to change the way I exercise. I
Yeah.
couldn't exercise like a young man. I couldn't like lift 500 pounds over my head and go rah. I had to be very careful, smaller, slower repetitions, more cardio, etc. What are your, like, because you delve mostly into the nature of women, what are the things that after 40 do you think are the key factors that women have to really look at once they hit 40?
Osteoporosis. Osteoporosis, James, is really the big kicker as we're going through menopause and our hormones are changing. And then we're looking at bone density and the risk of osteoporosis, and followed by arthritis or osteoarthritis. But I think the main part really is osteoporosis, and that can be dangerous for some women. But it is something that we can't overlook as far as strength training is concerned. And you said when you got older, you did less lifting and more cardio, the way I understood it. And I
Yes.
disagree with that. More cardio is not the answer as we're getting older. More strength is the answer to a long, healthy, strong, and fit life. Strength training improves not only muscle tone and muscle density, but also bone density and overall strength in the body. Thinking about, you know, even going away when people hear triathlon, oh, they're like, oh man, they're so fit. Look at them. And they're doing all these crazy things. I will never do that. Well, think about when you garden and you grab a huge bag of mulch. I don't even know how heavy one of those things are. But how do you get this thing from your car or actually into your car to begin with by yourself? You need strength. You need upper body, core strength, hip strength. You need balance. But going back to the osteoporosis fact, it's strength training is what keeps us young. I hate to say that. I'd rather say strong. I don't want to be young all the time as we're told that we should be.
Can you specifically tell us what osteoporosis is and how it
Is
affects?
Yeah, it's primarily in the hips. Hip density, of course not. Bone density in the hips is
Yeah.
reduced because of lack of impact, and that's where your running is pretty good, but also strength training. So you're losing basically the density in your spine. If you look at your spine, it has little vertebra, like I look always like they're little like little pearls on one on top of the other, and in the middle is what I call marshmallows. Now,
Yes.
as the bone density decreases because the lack of strength training, the lack of calcium in your diet, and the lack of a whole bunch of other things, but we're focusing on these two, those 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 little pearls or vertebra, excuse me, get porose. So they start to break down and get brittle.
Mhm.
And that leads to a whole bunch of other issues. But this is what happens when you're talking about osteoporosis. It's the weakening of your spine, and that your spine starts from the back of the head, goes all the way down to your tailbone. So that's the whole slew. When you're talking our age group, and I'm going to include you, James, lower back pain. So
Yes.
many people have low back pain. Oh, Patrick does too. So
Yeah.
Brutal.
He's just rolling up on midlife. He just doesn't know
Brutal.
it
Well,
yet.
I actually have a very funny story, and I'll keep it very brief. Two winters ago, last Christmas, I was driving by my church, and my church had a nativity scene, and it had blown over, and we had just had a foot and a half of snow, crazy amount of snow. I see my daughter beside me in the car. I'm like, we got to pick up baby Jesus. Like this, it would be wrong if we didn't stop and do this. So we get out, park the truck, we go trekking across the front lawn, fairly luxurious front lawn, I might add, for this church. We go over, grab the nativity that's fallen over, and I 1, 2, 3 can't move. That is it. I'm done. So 36 years old, I found myself in a position where I felt like I'm going to have to crawl across the Arctic tundra back to the truck, and it looked like the Arctic tundra when you haven't prepared yourself for that sort of thing. And everyone probably has had an experience like that. You've all done something the wrong way. You've hurt yourself, and it's affected me because it's one of those things that I look down the road going, I don't want to do this at 65 years old. I don't want to do this at 70 years old. Heike, taking that story, directing it back with what you're doing with HeikeYates.com, you obviously are clearly passionate about helping women. You're clearly passionate about this space, but why podcasting? And why does that fill this need of info and entertainment, the infotainment connection that we're trying to help people understand a little bit? Why podcasting?
Because everybody's on the go.
Right.
So who has time to read a blog? Although I do have a blog as well for those who do read, but we're always on the go. We want to get information, and I want to be in people's ears. I want them to say, oh, pursue your spark. That's my go-to for midlife. That's my go-to for menopause. That's my go-to for stress relief. That's my go-to for learning how to strength train. That's my go-to how to get unstuck and thrive in this phase of life and not be left behind.
What do you mean by unstuck? How are people stuck? How are people stuck, and how does this? So you listen to 100 seconds. How will that help women specifically get unstuck?
Well, the 100 seconds is a little taste of what the 20-minute audio will reveal to you in the steps that are baby steps, simple steps that are nothing to do with how to do a squat, nothing to do with how to eat your best meal, but has to do with our mindset. Why are we stuck in the habits that no longer serve us? And why are we so afraid of letting go? Why do we feel guilty if we are doing things that are good for our health and our health physically and mentally? And that's what I want to achieve with that they get unstuck, that they have a couple of ideas where they go, oh, yeah, she talks exactly yes, that's what I need. She hears me in her ear, in my earbud. She hears me. She knows what I need.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. When I started my journey, I lost 152 pounds. I started running. I am not an Iron Man, but I am starting training for a triathlon this year. I ran marathons, and my first step was getting my mind right. One was that feeling of working on myself instead of my kids was selfish. I had to overcome that. I had to overcome the fact that my kids have moved out. They're doing their own thing now. I can focus on myself, and that's okay. I'm not taking away from them by focusing on myself. What I'm doing is making my life last longer and be more beneficial and be able to do more for my kids eventually. And there was also that fear. Do you talk about the fear of change?
The fear of letting go could be a change aspect of it, but it's the fear of letting go. We're all very comfortable with what we know. This is how we roll. This is how we do things. And we know what the outcome will be. If we suddenly change something, we have to be prepared that something else will change in our lives, in our thinking, in our environment that is unpredictable. You do not know what is at the end of the tunnel. And so many people do not get unstuck and rather be in comfortable space, have fear, have guilt. And like you said, I felt I was selfish because I took care of myself. And I want to add to that too. You said that you do like for them. I would rather say with them. I have 2 kids that are now 32 and 34. And I'm also a grandma of a 2-year-old little munchkin. But my kids and I, yes, I'm a young mom. or I was. I'm still a mom, but I'm not so young anymore. But we always exercise together. I can't tell you how many times, how many marathons we ran, how many triathlons we did together, how many crazy tough mudders we did together. Because my son would say, "Hey, Mom, you want to do a tough mudder?" Which is an obstacle course in the mud, and it's really hard, and you have to climb high, and you have to be crazy strong and do all these weird things. And I will go, "Yeah." And they're like, "This is great. We do things together as a family." And does it have to be that extreme? No, a hike is perfectly fine. Now I have a bum knee, so I can't run anymore, but we still can do things together. That is active. And that's what I think is important as we age in our health, that we maintain that aspect of, okay, I throw up my back, but I know what to do. Oh, now I lost. Congratulations, James. I'm super proud of you. I lost so much weight, but I had to change the way I see things, the way I do things to benefit not just me, but also the people I'm spending time with.
So Heike, you bring up an interesting point. James always talks about the point of impact for people. And it's kind of one of his slogans. I think we're gonna have to get it on one of these shirts, likely one of these deals. This is his go-to. But it sounds like you've had a point of impact in your life, something that kind of registered for you, and you're like, I'm going to make this a passion. I'm going to make this a profession. Is there a specific moment that you can recall and tell us today? I know we're kind of peeling back the onion of HeikeYates.com here a little bit. Is there a specific moment that really hit where you're like, it's time?
It was after my oldest one was born, and I had gained 50 pounds. And then it was the heaviest I've ever been. And I had no idea how to lose the weight. No idea. I didn't do anything fitness related. I grew up in Germany. So you exercise all the time. You bike to the store, you walk to the whatever event, you take the bus. So it's very active. And when you come to the States, you're not as active. You drive everywhere. And then on top of that, full disclosure, I had quit smoking. Once I knew I was pregnant, I was like, oh, we're not smoking anymore. Yeah. Also back then, okay, listeners or watchers, viewers, I'm 62. I'm going to be 63 this year. So don't boo-boo me. Back in the days, we used to smoke. Absolutely. And so then I gained all this weight because my OBGYN was like, you were pregnant. Just rest. Eat bonbons. Let your husband spoil you. And I'm like, this is great. I like that a lot. And then I came out with 50 pounds overweight and had no clue what to do. So then a girlfriend of mine who also had a child at the same age, she says, you know what, at the local YMCA, they have like these cheap classes that are dance classes. And most women love to dance. Why don't we go? And I'm thinking, me in an exercise class? Nah, I don't think so. I was like, okay, I'll go with her. So, put on my bestest workout outfits and went with her. It was a blast. We danced, we did weights. It was a great camaraderie, and it was all in the church, the local church in the basement. They had like a rec room, so we were down there. And so I started taking these classes, and I thought, this is really great. This is so much fun. And then they asked me if I wanted to become a teacher. And this is really a little bit off the question you have, but it's really important to me that it's part of the process. And I didn't want to do that. And I said, me hopping around in front of people, this is nuts. I'm not doing that. My then husband said, well, why don't you try it out and see how it goes? Yeah. I said, all right, got nothing to lose. I get the class for free. It's a great benefit. So I started training and I loved it. And I learned how to do those moves, and I tested out to become a teacher in front of a whole bunch of people teaching a class. And my coach said, I can't let you teach class. And I was devastated. I said, why? I did everything wrong. And she said, you do not hear the music. And I laughed and I said, of course I hear the music. And she says, no, you're teaching to the melody, but you're not teaching to the beat.
Okay.
And I said, what are you talking about? I have never played an instrument. I know nothing about it. And my dancing at that point was just going to raves. So I don't know any of that other dancing stuff. And so I said, explain to me. I have no idea. I literally was in tears because I had really, like, I practiced and I knew my moves and I did everything. And she said, here, take your hand, put it on the speaker and feel the music. And I was like, oh, that's what you mean. The beat of the music, if you go like 1, 2, 3. So the counts of the music, I did not hear that, but she didn't know that I'm deaf on one ear
Oh, okay.
and I cannot hear the music.
Wow.
And I put my hand on the speaker for every song that I had to teach. I would listen to that beat. And if you know music, you know where the beat is.
Mhm.
And I will go, okay, step, touch, grapevine. Okay, here it is. Here's the beat. Here's the phrase of 8. Okay, next move, until I mastered it. And that was really the pivot point. Not so much that I wanted to lose the weight, not so much that they hired me, but that I had to overcome my problem that I couldn't hear, that I could not teach.
Heike, every person that I have ever met, especially in the health and wellness space, has had a moment like that. I I played pretty growing up. I watched buddies of mine that would often play professional as athletes in multiple different sports. And when they come back and they try to train it or teach it,
Yeah.
gapping because of their natural ability. And when people jump into it from, I'm not going to say less than athletic or less than perfect experiences is the best way to do it. They have to figure out for themselves the individual stop gaps that are limiting to their clients. And they do it in such a more heartfelt, more compassionate, more empathetic way. And they do it so much better. And you don't have to look anywhere farther than your website. It's there, it's crisp, it's concise, it's professional, and you come with it some fun, it's engaging. I love what you're doing and fleshing out that space, and now getting in podcasting and the coaching. I think it's brilliant. And again, it rolls back to what we're doing with Healthcare Amplified, getting in front of people, filling that infotainment aspect. And maybe you could talk a little bit about what you're hoping to accomplish at Healthcare Amplified next week.
I am so thrilled that I'm one of the speakers at Healthcare Amplified and that they chose me. I'm so honored. But I want to let other people know how I am successful with my podcast through content creation. It's no longer, oh, I put up an Instagram post or a YouTube small little video. It's about how do we get into people's earbuds? What do we need to do and what do we need to listen for? Which, in my point of view, is always you need to know your audience.
Right.
You need to know what their needs are, not what we assuming they need. We need to know what they really are looking for. Where are they stuck? Where can we benefit them the most through the products that we're creating for them?
Yeah, and you can tell through your website that you've done exactly that, is fleshing out these concepts, fleshing out these ideas, and we shared it there. And that 100 seconds that you've called it, to that really draw on that call to action, I love that. And that is a space that unfortunately, really good trainer, but if you can't get if you can't get their attention, they don't know how to start. And I think you answer all those questions. So for me, everyone check out Heike.com. It's very simple, very easy. We've got the QR code there. We got the Healthcare Amplified one right now. You can take a picture of that with your phone and it pops up, and it's a beautifully, very professional done website. And that's the content that you're Heike. So I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Like you touched upon this whole idea of what I call community, and you're building a community. So the Soaring Prophets, who we have a community called the Profiteers. And we try to touch the profiteers in all ways. And what we do is we unveil the stories of champions, much like yourself. You had things that you had to overcome, like not being able to hear in one ear, gaining weight during childbirth, learning more about your body so you can teach other women about osteoporosis, about how to work out, dealing with the fact that your knee is sore after being like an athlete. You really need to know the people that are watching you, the people in your community. How best do you find that out though? Like, so right now, Soaring Prophets is working on that. We're working on who are the people that are watching us? Who are the people that are listening to our stories? Like, what are the age groups? What do they want to hear? What is the best way of going about that? Since we're going to Healthcare Amplified, and that is a big factor of what they're going to teach us, how do we understand our community to a point that we speak their talk?
Ask a very simple question. Ask anybody.
See,
Ask
two
them.
guys could sit there and phrase that question for 45 minutes. That's Heike, you guys are idiots. Just why don't you just like communicate and be like efficient and solve the problem?
It's the simplest thing. And we are afraid. And I think we are afraid to ask because they may not tell us what we want to hear because we're so set that we know what they need. And then they say, oh, no, I don't want that.
Right.
This is I have no interest in that, but I want that. So if you ask, you get information. And I'm really trying in my coaching sessions really hard because I always want to help, not to help somebody quickly right away, but let them think about what it really is that they need. If somebody comes in and says, like James said, I lost all this weight, I want to lose weight. I'm like, okay, why? Why now? How did you get to that point that you are where you are? What brought you to that stage? What circumstances were you in? Well, why do you really want to lose all that weight? How do you see yourself? And you get so many answers and comments or things they say, and you go, never thought about that.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, until you hear their story, hear their voice, and understand the path that they've been through, you don't really understand how to help. I work in the autism field, and I have to break down information to teach them. And even then, I have to really examine who they are, what their experience is, what drives them, how they think, to completely understand and mold a lesson plan that they will be able to utilize. So, and I think that's what you're talking about. You're talking about really, truly listening. Is this someone who has false ideas on weight loss? Like there is that false idea that I held on to over and over and failed and failed and failed, that I'm going to lose 100 pounds and everything's going to be better. My life is going to be so perfect. My wife and I are going to be in love, and I'm going to be better at work, and I'll be able to run, and I'll be able to do all this stuff. And then I lose 100 pounds and nothing has changed.
And the hair is not the point.
So how do you prepare someone for that? How do you, like someone comes in and they have that unrealistic expectation, how do you talk them through that without like dashing their hopes?
Just happened last week. I started working with a new client, and her first thing was, I want to lose 20 pounds. Okay. What else do you want to do? Oh, I want to be more fit overall, and I want to eat better. And I have a couple of other little goals. So the goals that oftentimes come when you start working with somebody, or even in a group, they're very vague. 20 pounds was pretty clear.
Right.
So we go into what's the clear goal first, at least in my world, 20 pounds. And I say, why 20 pounds and why now? And the answer was, well, I was 20 pounds lighter when I was in college, and I thought it would be a good weight to go back to. I'm like, so you're a mom of 2 kids, you work full time, and you are 52. So you're in menopause. Ain't gonna happen. Let's do something else. And so I started talking through the other goals. And I said, well, you got to be clearer on your other goals. What does it mean? I want to eat better. And instantly she jumped to should I measure my food? Should I see how many grams I'm eating? Like, no. We don't need any of that. We need to figure out what it is that makes you tick. And not to discourage them, like you said, But I also not going to lie to them, because the fitness industry lies to us. There's
Yeah.
so many people out there, so many false claims and hopes and quick fixes. And I'd rather say it as it is. You ain't going to lose those 20 pounds in the next 2 weeks because you tried that already.
Yeah.
But instill the sense of hope that when I live better, when I treat myself better, when I eat better, when I exercise better for my body, it's, to me, it's all about just doing something a little bit better in the little baby steps. A little bit better in the long run, in my opinion, and also from what I've seen, brings big results. And when you're looking at this, it's so commendable that you lost all this weight and you will feel better. I know you feel better. Your cholesterol is probably down and your blood pressure is down and all kinds of other health markers that could
Mhm.
have been the jumping start for that weight loss. Is we got to look at our long-term health. Does it matter if I have 5 pounds more than I had while in college, or even 20 in her case?
Mhm.
No, but she wasn't fit. She wasn't strong. She wasn't focusing on the nutrients that would give her energy, that would give her better health, that would give her better sleep. And this is where I think Healthcare Amplified is a great community where we can instill a different conversation than the lies we're told on social and all over the place.
I think you're absolutely right. Like, so I personally believe that not one diet fits everyone. And when I say diet, I don't mean diet. I don't mean like restricting food. I don't mean like going on a weight loss program. What I mean is a high fish diet might be better for you. A high meat diet might be better for you. A vegetable diet might be better for you. It's all in how you fuel your body. And I had to learn that. I had to dial in all of the things that made my body stronger and all of the things that made my body weaker. For me, sugar, bread, any carbs like that make my body weaker. I literally can feel the grossness and the tiredness and the energy drain out of my body when I eat these things. Now, do I still eat them once in a while? Because once in a while is okay. If you don't do it once in a while, it actually harms you more than it helps. You really have to. But so do you find when you're helping women, because you predominantly work with women, is that what you're looking at? Are you looking at, hey, uh, why don't we try these different things and see how it works on your body? Or do you have plans that you already have in place for them?
I have some plans for those who are, I want to plan, but I got to be honest, I'd rather not give a plan. I want to help people figure out their preferences, their dislikes, and then go from there. And always start the small, like, I want people to change their habits so that they barely notice they make a change.
Right.
It's
Right.
like I eat a little bit less bread. I'm not going to eat the bread basket when we go out. It's a change.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
know, the bread basket there's like, oh yeah, give me the butter. I'll do it all. But I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Or a great example is, and that ties in with that, is awareness. A client of mine started coming to me for Pilates. And I have a brick and mortar studio here in Maryland where I see men and women in person or virtual also. And she came in and she wanted to do just Pilates. And she was not super out of shape or anything that I would notice. And so we started doing Pilates. She started doing her homework. And we just kept going for a couple of months. And I just looked at her, and to me, she always looked good. I don't look at people and say, oh, you lost some weight. I was like, oh, you're getting stronger. Oh, you're standing taller. Look at your Pilates body now. Look at how much weight you're lifting now. And suddenly she says, do you know that I lost 20 pounds?
That's awesome.
I said, what? She says, you know, I'm coming to you every week. I'm doing my homework. And then I sit down with my husband at night and we're watching TV, and he always pulls out M&Ms. That's his thing. So I'm sitting next to him, eating M&Ms with him, just cause. And then I realized, why am I eating those M&Ms? I don't want them. I don't like them. I just eat them because he eats them too. And he says, you know what? That awareness that I created through exercise, and in this case, it was Pilates, made made me change or made me aware that there's something better out there. And she says, I can't tell you how empowering that is to make this little change, just not eating M&Ms every night.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like
That is totally true. I did the same when my ex-wife now, we would do the same thing every night. That's how we kind of bonded, and it's a weird bonding rituals that couples kind of end up in when their kids are slightly getting older. So you're waiting for them to get home, or you have to go pick them up. You're watching a show and you're mindlessly eating, and that was one of my key factors in learning how to change the way I do things. One of them was mindful eating. I do not watch things when I eat now. I do not watch TV. I do not watch movies. I sometimes will listen to a wonderful podcast like yours, Pursue Your Spark, but I don't. I concentrate on my food, and I know what's going in, and I don't like eat that bag of chips, and then you're like feeling the bottom of the bag and going, oh wow, did I eat a whole bag? Well, I kind of want a sandwich now. I'm going to go make a sandwich. Can you tell us a little bit more about, so you're going to be talking in front of podcasters, so people like us, mostly people who want to learn how to improve their podcast, how to network with other podcasters, but it's all in the healthcare space. Can you tell us specifically what you're going to be talking about and why it's so important? If we're a podcaster out there, why do we need to be at Healthcare Amplified?
I had a great experience just this year connecting with other podcasters in the 50 niche at another event. And I'm hoping that at Healthcare Amplified, I will meet like-minded souls that have podcasts for people over 50. And all different, whether it's finances or health or whatever, whoever shows up. But primarily, we're talking about healthcare when we go to Healthcare Amplified, I would think. But connecting with people and sharing experiences as a group. Let's say I'm off stage, so I'm not talking about my topic that I'm sharing with two other people. But when you're there, seeing what everybody else's experiences, what have they tried, what has worked for them, and then share from my point of view how I create my content with generative AI, with getting more answers that I need to create content for that over 50 group, that midlife group, and seeing how we can collectively move the, what's the word I want to use? Move the ball forward. Is that a word you would say? Move the
football down the field.
Yeah, move it down. I can't think of the English word right now. Is like I'm thinking in my head. It's like move as a movement, create a movement that we are reaching more of those over 50 folks that are a little bit reluctant to listen to podcasts.
Right. No, I love that. And Heike, I think everything that you've talked about there, given a testimonial about what it is that you're building and kind of that sneak peek about one of the topics that you're going to be talking about at Healthcare Amplified on the 20th with that generative artificial intelligence, that generative AI. Folks, HeikeYates.com, check her out. And if there's nothing else that I can convince you to do with this, to have that 100 seconds that she puts on there, that sneak peek, that little behind the curtains. Heike, I want to thank you so much. It was a pleasure. I'm super excited to meet you in person. We get down to Orlando at the end of the month here. And from me, folks, make sure you check out Soaring Prophets. If you get a chat down to Healthcare Amplified in Orlando. And as always, let's make some money together, folks. James.
Yeah. Profiteers out there, I am so glad you joined us tonight to learn more about Heike and Pursue Your Spark and all the wonderful things she's doing. She is a plethora of knowledge that whether you're a woman, whether you're a man, I'm telling you right now, these are all the things that I talk about, all the things that she has experienced. She overcame so many things to get to the moment that she's at. She had to learn how to teach. She had to learn her body in such a way that she could teach you your body better, could teach you how to reach those goals and how to overcome those roadblocks that you might have. I really do encourage you to go to her website and check out that 100 seconds. If you send her an email after that because you're interested in that 100 seconds, she will send you the full thing. I believe it's free.
Yes, absolutely.
20 minutes is free. And I'm telling you right now, you want to do it because that is the first barrier. That's the first barrier I face. That's the first barrier everyone faces in this space when you want to make changes in your life. Your mind. You have to get your mind right. You have to be able to overcome fear. You have to be able to overcome self-doubt and self-negative talk. All three things are overpowering and all three things are hard to overcome by yourselves. This lady down here knows the way. Check her out. Come check us out at Healthcare Amplified. Oh my God, it is going to be so much fun. You'll see us by the pool. We're going to have a really good time. If you come see us and you're like, James, hey, I know you from the Soaring Prophets, we'll get you on the show. We'll have a chat with you. We'll sign whatever you want. And I'm looking forward to meeting who the people are that are watching our show. I want to know who you are. I want to know what you want. Just like Heike said, tell me, what do you want to hear from us? What do you need to know that we aren't doing for you? Please. Okay, profiteers out there, let's heal our minds, bodies, and souls together. Heike, lead us out with your pearls of wisdom and tell us, what we need to know.
Come and see us at Healthcare Amplified. Like I said, reach out because we do want to talk to you. I mean, seriously, don't just walk by and say, oh, yeah, this was the Soaring Prophets. Oh, they're celebrities. No, yes, we are celebrities in our own right, but we want you to be healthier, stronger, longer. Do a little bit better each day, and your body and your mind will thank you. And it's going to be a blast aside from that, being healthy and strong.
I can't say better than that.
But